Hey everyone, I'm Elfowls, and welcome to PPL NX Stage 2 Playoffs. I went 3-2 in my division during the regular season, placing 3rd out of 6 to make it into the second tier of playoffs, or Silver Playoffs. It's a bummer to miss out on gold, but we can still earn plenty of points in silver to get a good position for PPL Stage 3. So with that in mind, we're playing in the round of 16 first against EmeraldMiner and his Demolition Force. I have not played EmeraldMiner before, but I've seen him around in a few leagues. He seems like a pretty good player, and he's got a pretty scary team. His top 6 are about as solid as it gets. Valiant, Excalibur, and Heatran for a Dragon Fairy Steel Core, and then that same Heatran works with Rillaboom and Slowking to form a bulky Fire, Water, Grass Core with a Gliscor for good measure. Their bottom 5 picks are also make for amazing Terra Captains, so there's a lot to prep for. I definitely need to go with a balanced team into this matchup. Need to be able to break that Slowking and Heatran while also not falling over against the big wall breakers like Valiant, Excalibur, and Rillaboom. So we are starting things off with Great Tusk. This was conceptualized as an offensive set that needs max speed to tie with Excalibur, so while I was at it, I decided on a booster speed set to capitalize on those EVs. This is decently likely to sweep if I can set up a bulk up, since between Headlong Rush and Ice Spinner, we do great damage to my opponent's entire team. The bulk up defense boost even works to allow me to tank Rillaboom's Grassy Glide if I have to, before then removing the terrain with Ice Spinner, so even if I don't KO it, I can tank another one. Or I don't have to tank another one, rather. We also have Rapid Spin on the set, which gives me a chance to either set up after burning the booster, or get even faster alongside booster energy to outspeed all the Scarfers. With that being said, unless I can get that Rapid Spin off, Great Tusk is vulnerable to all the Scarfers, and will probably need some chip on some bulky pieces, especially the Slowking, so this is a late game piece for sure. Next up, we have Deoxys, which is working in its usual role of utility and speed control. We're running Psychic Noise as the stab, which is a little weaker than Psychic, but it comes with the added bonus of blocking recovery from grassy terrain or Gliscor's Poison Heal, and it still hits Iron Valiant for tons of damage, which is most of what I'm looking for in a Psychic stab. Superpower is coverage that picks up great damage on Excalibur, Heatran, and Zoroark, and Knockoff is great utility and hits Slowking for good damage. Stealth Rock, as always, is great to set up for chip damage if I find a chance for it. We're running Eject Pack to turn Superpower into a one-time pivot move, which helps keep up momentum in case Slowking decides to switch in for its fighting weak teammates. The EV solidified this as a mixed attacking set, with speed for +1 Excalibur, max attack, and most of the rest is dumped into special attack, but we have just a little HP investment to always live a Grassy Glide from Adamant Choice Band Rillaboom. Next, we have Manaphy, which is running a bulky Double Dance set. As I was building Manaphy for this week, I kept running into issues against Jolteon and especially Rillaboom just hitting me too hard, but that Rillaboom and its grassy terrain were mostly why I went with this set. If I can get a couple of boosts from Take Heart and Acid Armor, Manaphy is looking very hard to kill and will be able to throw out very strong Scalds and Sword Powers. With leftovers and potential terrain recovery, Manaphy can probably tank hits for a turn or two while boosting its defenses, and Take Heart means that we can't be statused by Gliscor or Pheasantipity. In fact, Manaphy sets up on those two very well, and with max HP investment, it does a decent job of switching into Excalibur's ice moves. We have a lot of speed on this as well, so that Manaphy can outrun Gliscor by a few points. This gives it the jump on Excalibur and Rillaboom as well. So those first 3 slots are potentially my best offensive threats in the matchup, but we need to start thinking about tanking some hits from my opponent's attackers. That is where Hisuian Goodra comes in as a bulky attacker that can check Heatran, Slowking, and Rillaboom, as well as some of the low tiers like Jolteon, Zoroark, and Pheasantipity that could otherwise get pretty scary. Flash Cannon is the main stab of choice, hitting Iron Valiant and Excalibur. Ice Beam hits Rillaboom and Gliscor for super effective damage, Surf hits Heatran, and Knockoff rounds out the coverage by hitting Slowking. We have a Choppleberry on the set, which is meant to tank a fighting move from Iron Valiant and KO it with Flash Cannon in return. We have the HP and defense to avoid the Oko from an Adamant Banded Iron Valiant close combat after rocks, which still leaves enough special attack to KO even fairly bulky Valiant sets with Flash Cannon. So Goodra is a solid check to a lot of things, including the Rillaboom, but I do need a better check to that, especially if it's something like a Swords Dance high horsepower Rillaboom. So next up is Physically Defensive Mandibuzz, one of the best Rillaboom checks in the game. The set is pretty basic. Brave Bird as a stab gets immediate damage into Rillaboom, and it also hits Iron Valiant, And Foul Play hits boosting threats like Bulk Up, Rillaboom, and Dragon Dance Excalibur for pretty good damage. U-Turn pivots me out, and Roost, of course, for longevity. A Rocky Helmet gets some extra chip damage onto that Rillaboom, and Terra Poison keeps a good Rillaboom matchup while also getting better matchups into Iron Valiant and Excalibur. And then lastly, we have Ogerpon-H with a Swords Dance set. This is a max HP set, meant to tank a hit and set up, and with dual stabs and low kick, there's nothing that really wants to switch into a +2 Ogerpon. This is a decently likely lead for me, since it can counter lead Gliscor and set up a Swords Dance as it protects, or sets up hazards. If I can get a boost early, Ogerpon beats a lot of my opponent's team and has some decent sustain with Horn Leaf recovery. We have speed for Pheasantipity, and the leftover EVs go to attack, still making for a very strong attacker, considering that Hearthflame Mask boost. And that is going to do it for the team. Pretty standard stuff, a couple of bulky pivots to get into my big offensive pieces. Let's see how it does in the battle. Alright. Got EmeraldMiner for the first round of playoffs. And we're rocking with a team here of Heatran, Iron Valiant, Excalibur, Rillaboom, Jolteon, which is Terra Ice, apparently, and Gliscor. Okay, so I almost had it right. I expected to see Slowking, instead we have Jolteon. It's kind of interesting. But let's see here. What would I want to lead off with? Deoxys is kind of good. Kind of a poor matchup into Rillaboom, but that's not the worst thing in the world. Could also start with Ogerpon, which has solid matches across the board, actually. I'm considering doing that, yeah. I think a Gliscor lead is pretty likely. Rillaboom's also likely, and Ogerpon's decent against those. I think I would Swords Dance on a Protect from a turn 1 Gliscor. Maybe, we'll see. Because I could very well be backing Knock, so you would think a Gliscor would either Protect or just straight switch out. We'll see. But yeah, good luck, have fun. To EmeraldMiner. No Slowking. That's good for Manaphy. Of course, Rillaboom's still a problem for Manaphy, and Jolteon is also a problem. We were looking at... That's a Gliscor. Okay. You know, I just thought now, like, it could have Dual Wing Beat, which would be kind of a problem. I am a bulky Ogerpon, though, so let's see what I would take from that. Dual Wing Beat... I mean, I would take more than half. Interesting. It has to be threatened, though. It's a risk, but I will go for a Swords Dance. We'll see what happens. It does stay in, actually. Okay. See what happens here. Could very well be... Oh, it's high horsepower? 364 to 244. 120 with a high horsepower. Of course, it's not running Earthquake because of the terrain. That is uninvested, it looks like. So I will go for a Horn Leech here, which doesn't have great switchings. Let's go for it. This should heal me up a decent amount. Okay. And it takes a little under half, which does imply a more physically defensive set. Got it. Goes for U-turn. So that's chip that's going to stay on it, which is good. I could very well be vulnerable to an Iron Valiant coming in, which I can't defend against too well right now. It is the Valiant. It's good to see no booster. That is definitely a threatening set. Could go Deoxys. Could go Mandibuzz because it's very unlikely to be going for a Fairy move right now. Goodra is kind of out of the question. Let's see. How much am I taking from a Valiant CC? Well, uninvested CC would not take me out. But an invested CC, let's see. 62 to 73. There are actually a couple rolls where I live that, so I'm tempted to stay in. I don't know. Let's try it. Let's Horn Leech. Yeah, I live. Nice. I think with the defense drop, too. -1. And Slife Orb. Yeah, this Horn Leech should be taking it out. Yeah, let's go, Bulky Ogerpon. Alright, first KO on the board. And it's against Valiant, which was a huge threat. Alright, that's a solid start for me. We're not even, like, quite out of it with Ogerpon yet, because I did heal a little bit, so there's always the option to preserve HP a little bit. We see the Bax Caliber, which... I mean, I'm a little surprised this wouldn't have been your switch in before, if it is Scarf. Do I test it now, or am I expecting an Ice Shard? Let's see, Banded Ice Shard. Always KOs, unfortunately. I kind of think that's what's happening. Do I have anything that can switch into that? Manaphy, maybe. Notably, if the Bax Caliber is not banded, Ice Shard doesn't KO, it has to be banded to do that. So I think I just test out what's happening here. I'm going to go for the low kick, which has a... it should definitely KO. Okay, low kick. And it's done! Oh my gosh, Ogerpon, let's go! Okay, great start. And it's the Gliscor again. I'm so tempted to go for a Swords Dance on what I expect to be a Protect. Let's see, even after it gets, I think, what, another 16% from the poison? That's up to, let's round that up to 70. Ivy Cudgel is never KOing that. Well, let's just test it with a Cudgel now. Ooh. Really? No Protect? Well, this is good. Jolteon, of course. So, let's see Jolteon. Specs Jolteon with a neutral Parablast would KO? Would a non-Specs do that? Non-Specs Timid would be a roll with a Terra Ice Terra Blast, it looks like. My Horn Leech, even on a max HP Jolteon, would KO in return, so let's do that. Yeah, this does 121 to 144. I don't quite remember what I was at, but it was in like the 130 range. So, let's see. Goes for Terra Blast. Of course, it could also just be Specs, but I expect you to have brought it in earlier if you had Specs. Okay, so it's either Specs or it got to roll. Jolteon KOs Ogerpon. Good job to Ogerpon now. Jeez. Okay, and now best matchup into Jolteon has to be Goodra, right? Which also, like, I don't see what their switchings are at this point. Heatran, Rillaboom, Jolteon. I think I click... I mean, Flash Cannon's super effective. Oh, did I miss that? It got burned, so that's the one item. It's Flame Orb with the Quick Feet. Interesting. I'm gonna go for a Flash Cannon. You can actually tell with Modest or something. 363 to 258. Okay, it's not done. Actually, it is after the burn, so that's kind of a self-KO. But it did faint for Goodra, which counts as a KO for Goodra. Let's see, Goodra. Was it modest? It had to have been, yeah, so I think that was probably, at the very least, a roll in my opponent's favor. At this point, though, I will go for a Surf, I think, with Goodra. Which, against the Spadef-Heatran, I could knock off first, actually. Might be worthwhile. Yeah, get rid of whatever its item is. Sure. Magnus Form does 258 to 161. 97 means it is an uninvested Magnus Storm, and it's Shuka. Okay. Okay, if it goes for Magma Storm again, I do actually survive. It looks like. Yeah, I would. If it's Earth Power, though, it probably does take me out. This goes for Rocks. Okay. Fair enough. I suppose. Okay, looks like maybe just a max HP Heatran. Goodra can go down here. Honestly, this game is looking pretty good. Of course, I don't have a choice. I can't switch Goodra out or anything, so here we go with the Surf. There's the Earth Power. So Heatran gets to KO Goodra. Okay, and let's see. As long as Mandibuzz is chilling in the back, I don't see a huge problem here. Actually, I think this is perfect for Deoxys, because I can go Superpower to KO this, and then that eject packs me out into Mandibuzz. So let's do that. Superpower. Alright, and with Heatran down, I think Mandibuzz just has this. Not gonna speak too soon, gotta be careful about, whatever could happen. But this is a max defense Mandibuzz. Maybe the worst case would be like bulk up Rillaboom. So I think I should just start going for Brave Birds, right? Yeah, this team is fairly vulnerable to Rillaboom if I'm not careful. So let's just play this right. I think I can start with a Foul Play. See what this Rillaboom's all about. It's a knockoff. Doesn't do much. Okay, and Foul Play looks like a 2-shot, so I'll just go for another one. No reason to Terra Poison. Goes for a U-turn. Okay. Do we take it on this turn? Let's go! Mandibuzz KOs Rillaboom. Okay. Great. Yeah, I would have been worried a little bit about a bulk up set. If Rillaboom gets bulk up, I think it does. But I guess Foul Play would still be doing consistent damage regardless, and then eventually the terrain would run out. So I guess that would be okay, probably. But that is going to do it for a, I believe, 4-0 win. Yeah. Kind of gliding right through that round. Good game to EmeraldMiner. The Ogerpon was really, really tough for them to deal with. I guess they could have brought in Jolteon to deal with it earlier, but it wasn't the boosting item. It looked like it was Flame Orb. Yeah, it was. So I don't think that Modest was a guaranteed KO. So it worked out in my favor quite a bit. Ogerpon put in the work, But yeah, with that said, I will see you guys in the next round of playoffs. If you have watched this far in the video, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.